Previously on the People's Justice Institute, we learned our divine purpose on earth, which is our highest intent, to live in empathy and in cooperation and peace with ourselves and one another. In order to wholly and sanely do this most important work, we need to practice defining and honoring our boundaries and concerns in healthy ways. You see, within every person, we have our inner bodyguard. It's called the ego. The inner bodyguard stores any pain we may have experienced since being a small child, and it works to protect us from experiencing any more pain. It's kind of like this.
I just want to reiterate our unflinching support for all people and their right to a democratic process.
Hey, all y'all dictators out there, keep messing around and see what happens. Just see what happens. Watch.
The ego is wired to help us survive on Earth, so it means us no harm. In fact, it's trying to protect us from further harm. But sometimes, if we don't practice how to interpret its messages, it may go into overdrive and end up causing us more problems. See, usually when the ego is triggered, there's typically an underlying boundary or concern to heal through. When you hear an inner voice that gets sad or angry or frustrated, that is the ego letting you know there's an imbalance within. Give it time to let it pass like the wind, making sure not to harm anyone with it, and let it leave the message of hope behind it. Hope is how we thrive in the world. The Meditation Museum identifies 10 powers we each have in interpreting the message from our ego and solving our own problems. The ability to walk away, the ability to see the script, and the ability to resolve and accommodate are some. Cognitive distortions are some of the traps of the ego that make our problems worse than it is. Learn about these to help best work with your ego and not create more pain and suffering for it to protect you from. The more we actively engage in our ego work to understand and curate our boundaries and best work to also honor others, the more we become at peace within ourselves.
During the field session with my team and coaches, my defensive coach pointed out a play where I made a mistake, yelled at me and cursed me out. It triggered my feelings of anger and defensiveness, and I recognized I was letting my emotions get the best of me. I took a moment to hear the message and not the tone. This taught me not to talk back and acknowledge the comments he made.
Sometimes when others are unconscious of their ego, we may have to be conscious for them to assess what could be triggering them and the message we can take for our own growth. For the poll of the day, how does getting to know your boundaries help shape your peace on Earth? And how did Dylan sift through ego to get to the message? More to come on the People's Justice Institute.